Yo, are you looking for a heat press? Because I got 5 things you should consider before you invest in your equipment. Let's go. What's up everyone? Welcome back to the studio. This is Kenji and I'm back with some more information for you so you can grow your brand, your e-commerce, streetwear, clothing line, whatever you name it that you sell online. So today I wanted to talk about the 16x20 auto heat press that I bought from Heat Press Nation, why I bought it, why it was a good investment, and if you're in the market for it, maybe I can tell you some reasons why it'll be good for you. After spending so much time online and researching what's the best heat press, which heat press should I buy, which brand is the best brand, and all these other questions, I just went on YouTube, started watching a bunch of videos, and I came across this guy named Big Brando. Big Brando, I'm sure you've already probably seen some of his videos, but he's dope as fuck, makes really cool clothing, and I just thought, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. This is what I want to also make, so let me watch his videos. So I watched a bunch of his videos, and I was like, easily convinced that Heat Press Nation was probably the brand that was right for me. So went to the site, did my research, found a discount code, and then I got my press. And honestly, it's been the best investment I made. And that's why I want to tell you how it worked for me, and hopefully it can answer some questions for you. I do big prints like 12x18, and I love just using the entire garment because that's my style. If you're the kind of person that just wants to do small prints or small hits, you can get away with the 15x15. But for me, I needed that entire 16x20 platen so I can never run out of space and have no issues going forward. And I know there's a bunch of brands on Amazon, but the thing is, if you go to Amazon, your support and your customer service in the future, if there's any problems, is probably going to be limited. I know that you can return things easily, which is awesome about Amazon, but you don't have that long-term reliability. Like Heat Press Nation has a customer service hotline, customer service chat, and I usually call them up if I have a question, and they fix it in a day or two. So that's another added bonus. Let's talk about the weight and the size of this press. So the 16x20 is a big piece of equipment. It is huge. It's about 100 pounds, maybe 120. When you get the box, it's like 140 pounds. I actually did an unboxing video of me lifting it out of the box. And honestly, I was worried that I was gonna eat shit, but because I was recording it, I couldn't let myself down. So I just made it happen. And the table you get has to also be able to support this equipment. So make sure you keep that in mind before you buy this press, because it's not something you can just chuck on a little fold out table and hope that the legs don't break on it. I'd rather get something solid. Like I bought this Home Depot rolling desk thingy and it's been great for me. So do your research, make sure that it can hold the capacity of at least 200, 300 pounds. Because when you exert pressure onto the table with the press, it's definitely a lot more than the loading weight that you think the equipment weighs. So make sure that you take that into account. And again, I got the 16x20 because I love big graphics, and big graphics require about an 18-inch clearance. I've never hit 20 inches yet, but around 18 is kind of my max, because also you have to take into consideration a lot of places that sell the transfers don't make it that big. So 18 is the max, and the 16x20 handles that. So the size is perfect and I don't have to worry about running out of space or anything like that. Next is the time commitment. So it's not a plug and play situation. You don't just buy the press and then you're done. You have to buy the press, learn how to use it, test a bunch of materials, and then once you figure out your flow, then you can figure out what works best for you and then automate that. But until you get to that point, there's a lot of troubleshooting, and you're gonna have to be willing to go through that to make sure this works for you. And honestly, this isn't rocket science. It's just a heat press that has temperature, pressure, and humidity, which relatively is always the same, and the materials change. But the way I do it is that every time I use new material, I always make sure that I write down the vinyl cut settings, the heat, pressure, and which color I used, because I found that even within the same manufacturer, the colors change the settings a little bit. So that's something that you're gonna have to troubleshoot yourself. I always say this because nothing is black and white where it's like a list can give you all the answers. This is very experimental, and things change depending on your equipment's age, material age. There's a lot of different factors. So just make sure that you have a log of what works for you so you can always reference back. And that way you can always get a perfect press no matter what. Let's talk about the financial risk. So buying equipment is not cheap. A good press can cost anywhere from 800 to like $1,000 something. The press that I got, which was the 1620 with the auto open and slide out, was I think around $900. So it wasn't just like buying a $200 piece of equipment off Amazon and then returning it if it didn't work out for me. I was committing to this knowing that if I bought this, I'm gonna have to figure out, 1, how to pay it back, and 2, how to effectively use it so that I don't have a giant 140-pound machine just sitting here in my apartment, considering that it's not just a regular piece of furniture that can kind of blend in with everything else in your apartment or your house. And also, when you start running a business, there's just so many different things that you're gonna have to pay money on, like your LLC, your taxes, materials, and any other operating costs that incur with your business. So just make sure that you account for all these different things and be more conservative, because you're gonna have a lot more fees than you're imagining. Trust me on this one. So just for the sake of this video, let's just do something really simple. So let's say the press cost me $1,000 and I wanna sell a shirt and make 20 bucks a sale. We're not talking about taxes and all these other things. Let's just make it easy, okay? 1,000 and 20. Simple math, 1,000 divided by 20 is 50. So I need to sell 50 units to break even on that $1,000, right? So selling 50 shirts doesn't sound too bad, but that's only if you already have a customer base or if you already have a clientele. So that could sound like something that is really easy or really difficult, and that depends where your business is at. So if you don't feel comfortable even investing that much, then don't do it. Like, think about how you can build a fan base first, or how you can have a client list at least. You know, it's not all about maximizing your margins when you first start a business. In the beginning, you have to focus on getting clients and getting customers before you can increase your margins. The margin will come into play later on once you have a business and clientele. So the easiest way, I would say, if I wanted to pay off this press, is doing client work for small batch businesses, or maybe offering your equipment for rental or something like that. I didn't think about renting out my equipment, but if someone wanted to use my press for like an hour, you know, charge them $50, I don't think that's a bad deal, but it just kind of depends if you trust them or not. But in terms of the small businesses, everybody wants to order less than 50 or 100 unless they're confident in their brand or business. You can just knock out 20 shirts for someone and make sure that you are building a clientele list of these small quantity orders, because people with small quantities tend to come back a lot more. So hit them up in like a month and say, hey, you need more shirts? What's going on? You know, thanks for the business. I appreciate it, but I'm just wondering if you need more stuff. And it's just always good to ask, because you never know unless you ask. All right, number 4 is your business direction. You're probably in the market for a press because 1, you want to make your own clothing, 2, you want to start your own brand, or 3, maybe you want to do both. And the thing is, once you buy a press, you're going to realize how much time this all takes. It seems easy because, yeah, the press time could be 6 seconds for a peel, but then to get the shirt ready, to get it ordered from your vendor, to put the neck label on, to put it in a poly bag and then have it retail ready, there's so many steps that go with it. And you can't underestimate how long these things take, because they add up a lot depending on how many units you're making. So are you gonna be a clothing or streetwear brand, or are you gonna be a production facility? Because I've been in the industry for about 8 to 9 years before I started doing this on my own. So I already know how much things cost, and I already knew my capabilities. I bought the press in order to minimize my cost of goods so that I can invest everything back into my business faster without having to wait for clients or vendors to finish the production before I can sell it. And that was one of the biggest issues that I kept on running into, was that I wanted to sell stuff because I already have the designs done, but I just couldn't get the garments in time. And momentum and timing is everything when you're growing a business. So I just said, I'm gonna get my own press, I'm gonna do this on my own, I'm gonna figure it out. And here we are now. So yeah, if you're like that, this is gonna be perfect for you. But just remember that the more time you spend on the press, the less time you're spending time growing your business. So just keep that in mind before you dive into this purchase, and then make sure that it aligns with the direction you wanna take. And number 5 is the customer service, and my 1-year honest opinion of owning this equipment. And one of the things I really like about this press is that if there's any issues with it, I can always call a number or message someone online and get help with it. If I bought this off Amazon, I am 100% sure no one's gonna give a shit about helping me, besides giving me a refund or credit or something like that. And that's not good enough for me. I want someone that can give me the support if something blows out, if some screw comes off, how do I fix it? Those are the kind of things that I look for when something is not working right. Funny enough, I actually had an issue when I first bought the press with the top platen detached from the rest of the machine, and I just had no idea what the fuck happened. And I had to call a number and be like, hey, the top platen fell off. So they asked for a video, a picture, and then they just said, oh, you just have to screw this bolt back on. And thank goodness they had that, because in my head, I thought I broke this thing in like a week, and I'm like, I didn't buy the extra protection plan. $1,000 down the drain. You know, there's a lot of things going through my head. But after that moment, I was like, if I have any questions, I can always hit up their customer service and someone's gonna help me. So that gave me a lot of confidence. And honestly, after a year later, the only issues I've had with this is that it creaks and you gotta use some WD-40 to lube it up. And also, that's about it. It's honestly been such an awesome piece of equipment in my studio. And yes, I did say it's really big, but as long as you have the right table for it and you can position it well, it's not gonna be a problem. If you watched my videos on Instagram, you can see that I have it on this desk that actually has wheels on it. So if I had to move it, I can always move it at any time. But I never had to do that yet. So that's just something that maybe you can look into as well, is wheels on your equipment, because that way you can always move stuff away if you wanna present your living room as just a living room and not a workshop. That's about it for today. Those are the 5 things that you should consider. If there's anything else you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments below. If you want to support my brand, I have a consulting session available, and I also have my apparel and everything else on my website, where you can find everything at icandoit.shop. And I'll catch you all next time. Peace.